G'day, guys. Welcome to the Unofficial Scorecard Podcast, a podcast where we talk all things boxing and occasionally the wider world of combat sports. This is a different episode. So, guys, if you watched the last hit out solo edition of the episode, you wouldn't have noticed on the audio version, but on the video version, there was a note where I did hint at a possible different type of episode being released at a later stage, depending on the guest's approval to release that episode. So what's happened, guys, is it's kind of going to get released. Not fully, but kind of. So basically what happened is I received a message from someone that I believe had listened to one recent episode of the pod, maybe even only a portion of that episode. I'm not actually 100% sure. And they had quite a few suggestions for me. Now, to be fair, this person is a friend of a friend of a friend type thing. It is someone I have met before. I don't really know that well, but to be fair and to be honest, I did kind of know them. So I think that's why they reached out to me after only listening to one episode or maybe only even a portion of that. And they had some constructive criticism for me and things that they thought I could do better on the pod. And one of them was that because he found the boxing chat was so serious, he couldn't really relate to it as an average Australian sports fan that loves footy, cricket, tennis, everything, but doesn't follow boxing. And he said, what I should do is get someone like him on the show and interview him about why he doesn't watch boxing anymore. And he said that way I'll be able to learn more about the audience that, in his words, that I want to get that will not listen to the show because they don't follow boxing either. And I was like, well, mate, that's actually a pretty interesting idea and something a bit different to do for the show. So to this man's credit, I took him up on it. He came on. We recorded about an hour-long conversation. It went in all these different directions. But then shortly after, about an hour or two later, Mr. X said, look, no, I can't release that episode. It'll affect my job and career. I need to be anonymous, all this type of thing. And one of the main criticisms he had, obviously, was that the show was way too serious. And he said what the show needs is more blokey pub-style humor, like we all joke when the cameras aren't on, when the red light's not recording us. There's certain things you can say when it is, and there's certain things you can say when it's not. And he said the show needed more of that style of humor. So he absolutely brought that to our hour-long chat, and then soon after realized, oh no, I can't risk this going public. We can't release it. So the whole episode is not going to be released. But what we did, it was right at the end of the chat. So I'm going to release a 4.5-minute video just after this intro. And basically what I wanted to do is just as an experiment and delve into the mind of the average Aussie sports fan that doesn't follow boxing is just do some name recognition. Throw some names at him and see if he has any idea what I'm talking about, and if he does, what he does know about it. It was quite interesting. So I'm able to release that portion of the chat, guys, so the next 4.5 minutes, but I've had to block out his camera, so you'll just see me and then a logo of the podcast. And obviously, we cannot refer to this man by name at his request, so he will be called Mr. X. But guys, let's jump to that now, and then I might do an outro afterwards, and I'll give you a breakdown of the rest of the chat. So let's jump to that now. This is basically just an exercise in, this is what the main promoter in Australia has told us for years. And I've always thought they're lying to us. So we're just going to use this as a little example, yeah? So do you know what no limit boxing is?
There's no rules. Nope.
Have you ever heard of it? No limit boxing?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So you would have heard of Tim Tszyu?
Yes.
What do you know about Tim Tszyu?
He's cost us some, mate. That's about it.
Okay. Do you know about Nikita Tszyu?
No.
Have you ever heard of Michael Zarafa?
I've heard the name Zarafa, yes.
Like in what context?
Nothing. There's the match. I just heard the match name Zarafa. That's about all, mate. But
okay.
Not much at all.
Have you ever heard of a person called Jai Opataya?
No, mate. Absolutely not.
Have you ever heard of Liam Parrow? or Paro, Liam Paro?
Absolutely not, mate.
Have you ever heard of Sam Goodman? Some people call him the Ghost.
No.
Have you ever heard of Liam Wilson?
I knew a guy called Liam Wilson, but not that one.
It might be. It might be. Have you ever heard of Andrew and Jason Maloney?
The Maloney, yes, I've heard of that. Yep, Maloney, yep.
What do you know about them?
Those two, they opened a boxing gym somewhere, but like they were Australian fighters, weren't they? Middleweight?
No, but they are fighters. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we know a little bit of that. They're from Mitcham originally too. These ones are a mix of hard, but you also might know. Have you ever heard of Brandon Gratch or Liam Talivar?
No, mate, no.
So No Limit Boxing told us that was the most widely watched heavyweight fight in the last couple of years.
Well, they're fucked, aren't
Never
they?
heard of them.
No, mate.
Okay.
No.
Have you ever heard of Paul Gallen?
Yes.
What do you know about him?
Fuck all. I've heard the name.
Okay. We're almost finished. Have you ever, and this guy, this is huge. Have you ever heard of someone called Nelson Asofa Solomona?
What the fuck? No, mate, I have not heard. All I heard in that last bit is Mona, and that's what a lot of the women do, but no.
Well, apparently he's going to take over the sport. So last one, mate, last one. Have you ever heard of a thing called DAZN?
Mate, you're fucking speaking Japanese now, I think.
It's spelled DAZN, and they say DAZN.
Nah, mate, I have no fucking idea. No.
Okay, all right. Well, that is amazing because we are told that all those names are household names in the country.
Fuck me dead. Well, that's as far as I know, mate. That's like me saying to you, who's fucking Nazamana Mana? You know, who the fuck is that? Who's made it up?
Yeah.
No idea, man.
So, mate, that was just an exercise in if you don't know who they are, 99.9% of sports fans in this country don't know who they are. But we get told
spell half those fucking names.
but we get told by the boxing promoters in this country and the boxing networks in this country, oh, these guys are huge stars. Look how popular they are. We have to put them on pay-per-view. No one's ever heard of them.
Mate, they're fucking blind or stupid, these promoters, but I know what you said, man. Like, you're right, and that's exactly what I mean, man. Like you said, you know of these guys. They're probably fucking great fighters. But you're right. If you just ask me who the fuck these... If I walk past that cunt in the street, hey, mate, this is so-and-so, and you'd be like, fucking yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, mate, nice to meet you. Where are you from? Like, I wouldn't even have a clue who they are.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that was my chat with the anonymous Mr. X, which pretty much just confirmed everything that I already kind of knew in my own personal experiences and sort of suspected toward the wider public. But look, it's one person. It's not a reflection of 100% of the population, but I reckon, or pretty much anyone who's listening or watching this, to your mates or your group of people that you know that don't follow boxing, I think they would have very similar, if not identical, answers to what Mr. X just had. So, yeah, that was the interesting part. Like I said, guys, this is a little bit of a different episode, something a little bit of a departure of what we do normally and something that maybe will be interesting, something that maybe won't be, but I thought it was worth throwing out there. It was recorded, so we may as well let it see the light of day and see if people find it interesting. But, yeah, guys, so the whole thing, came about, as I mentioned in the intro. Mr. X just randomly reached out to me, had all these suggestions. To be totally honest, I didn't really agree with any of them, but you know, it's not like this is the biggest pod in the country or anything. So I'll take on any idea and throw it out there and see what happens. So yeah, we jumped on. It was a bit of a frustrating chat for me. So this Mr. X was like ultra confident that he was going to come on and kill it and bring his style of humor to the pod, which he did, to his credit. And the thing was, I wrote down like 5 questions. That's all I wanted to know. You know, like, what do you know about boxing? Why don't you watch it anymore? What would boxing have to do for you to watch it? If you were going to watch it, what media or discovery methods would you go through to find it? And then there was another question I can't remember, but just basic stuff. And the chat went for ages. This guy just kept going on like random tangents, like questions he would answer, I thought in 30 seconds would be like 4.5 minutes. You know, I'm a gas bagger too, so I can do that. But yeah, it was wild, man. So I just wrote a few things down because I thought, I reckon there'll be some parallels here. So interestingly enough, he said he was a massive Mike Tyson fan, watched all the Tyson fights, massive Mike Tyson guy. But as soon as Mike Tyson retired, which he said was 1997, which we know he fought for years after that, but at least the end of Mike's prime, I'll give him credit, 1997, mentioned that, yeah, he never jumped back on again. And I said, well, what was it about the end of Mike Tyson's career and the sport that, you know, you never rekindled your passion for it? You're a huge boxing fan. You're a massive Mike Tyson fan. There was no other fighters that you saw. And he said that there just wasn't anyone else that he knew of or was aware of that was like Mike. And I said, well, was that because of Mike's fighting style, or was it because you would just, you know, he was the most famous man on the planet at the time? Was it the event and the occasion? And he said, no, it was Mike's ferocious fighting style. He just absolutely loved it. And he did not ever see another single fighter, even on those Don King undercards. There was no one else in the sport that even remotely grabbed his attention, which personally, I don't believe. I think he was just a Mike Tyson fan for the event and the occasion. But that's what he told me. So I thought that was interesting. I know a lot of other people. I haven't spoken to them super in depth, but yeah, seemingly everyone on the planet was a Mike Tyson fan at some point, but they never watched boxing after Mike Tyson retired. And when Mike Tyson was competing, they never watched anyone else during that time either. They just watched Mike Tyson. So I don't know, when people say, oh, it was just his fighting style, I just loved it so much, I don't believe that, because I'm not saying there are guys like Mike, but, you know, if you like a certain athlete in a sport, you're going to find similarities in other athletes too. And that's how you get involved in the sport as a whole. So to say that you liked boxing only for Mike Tyson and then never ever watched it again, I'm not buying it, man, but that's just my opinion. He really reiterated that the average Aussie sports fans just are not interested in podcasts, YouTube, any of this stuff. It's too niche. He said that the other contributing factor to him not getting involved in watching boxing after Mike Tyson was the lack of mainstream media around the sport. Specifically, he's based in Melbourne, so he specifically mentioned the Herald Sun newspaper, and yeah, like Fox Sports, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, TV, as mainstream as you can possibly get. I mentioned to him about, you know, like if you've got a certain person in your life that's a fan and they're like mentioning to you, oh, this fight's going to be good on the weekend. I said, does that pique your interest? And he says, absolutely not. And what was really surprising to me too, and I had never even considered this, so I did learn something for sure, was that he said he's way more likely to take interest in a particular fight that may be coming up in a week or a month or something like that if there was mainstream media around it that he was able to discover independently. So he didn't want some guy like me theoretically going, oh, you know, this fight's going to be awesome. Watch this fight. That actually turns him off watching it, which I found really surprising. So he said he needs to independently discover it himself. And the way that he would independently discover it is that mainstream media, capital city newspapers and your main TV channels on free-to-air TV, which is, yeah, pretty unbelievable. But I thought that was interesting. I did not see that coming. One of the other things too, he said about the pod, yeah, he said way too serious in terms of the way I discuss the sport with people. Fair enough. I can't really defend that. He said there needs to be way more humor and, you know, like proper footy, change room style humor, blokey bloke, pub chats, this sort of stuff, which I don't disagree with. But, you know, I've always maintained that the pod and the show itself, it is as natural a conversation as you can make it, but it's also public. So you kind of got to button things up a little bit, I believe. So, yeah, Mr. X brought his style humor. He was saying some wild stuff. He was doing heaps of like pretty intense swearing. And then, yeah, as I mentioned in the intro, after not long after we finished recording, he said, yeah, no, I can't have that out there. So ironically, one of the criticisms that he had for not enjoying my show that he brought when he came on, he wouldn't let me release. So, which I thought was like, is that the definition of irony or what? Like, so he came on, showed me the example, and then an hour later said, oh, no, I can't release that. That could be too potentially have a negative impact on my career. But I won't watch any show that doesn't have that in it. So everyone else can take a risk and never negatively impact their careers for his entertainment, but he is not willing to do the same himself, which was, pretty ironic and a pretty wild theory. Now, there was a lot of, I basically asked him in five different ways the same question, essentially, which is he is right in that sweet spot boxing demographic target audience. So I said to him, what would you have to see and discover independently yourself, like on this mainstream media, to get your interest peaked to watch a fight coming up in a week or a month? And he just kept banging on about like making it more affordable so he could take his kids to a local fight, and maybe if he met a young pro, a young heavyweight specifically, he had no time for any other weight class beside heavyweight. Also another interesting point, but not surprising. And he kept saying, if he met a debuting heavyweight pro, for his first fight or so, and their family developed a personal connection, and then he was able to go to all the live fights and follow this particular fighter through his entire career, that would really get him interested in the sport. And I was like, man, I'm just asking you, how would you how much interest would you have to gain, and how would you gain that interest to watch it on TV next week? I'm not talking about the freaking next 15 years of your life and your kids growing up with some amazing mentor or something. But yeah, so I kept asking him that, and I'm like, maybe I'm not asking this. I'm not being clear enough in what I'm asking. I asked it like 5 different ways. He just kept giving me the same answer. Oh, if fighters would come down to schools and like train kids, even though the teachers and the principals wouldn't let it these days, but that would, get the sport to grow. I'm like, mate, I'm not asking you to solve the sport's problems. I'm just asking you how you would be interested in it. And he just could not answer it. It was crazy. He also had this wild theory. This is probably the closest he got to answering the question. He goes, oh, look, maybe if, if there was a local show in 2 months, 5 kilometers from my house, and, the promoter was going to give away free tickets, but instead of just giving away free tickets, maybe if they said, okay, come down to the boxing gym and you can spar a couple of rounds with one of the local amateurs. And, if you get through 2 or 3 rounds, then we'll give you some free tickets. And he said he would be up for that. He would love to do it. And that would really get him excited. And I'm like, what? That is the most ridiculous theory of all time. As if the sport can't even get you to click the remote and start watching it. How in God's name is it going to get you to get in your car, drive to a gym, spar a fighter, and bloody get tickets that way? It was just, again, absolutely wild theory, but that's what he thought. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy conversation, guys, but it was very indicative of, I'm assuming, like a lot of you guys too in real life. We have conversations with these guys and it is crazy. Now, my computer is just glitching hard, so this may be recording or it may not, but I'll just keep rolling with it and we'll see what happens. But what else was there? Yeah, there's a couple other points, guys, but yeah, that was about it. But look, I'm not sure if that was interesting, guys, but something a bit different, struggled to, as we mentioned on the last hit out edition of this pod, get someone on the pod this month. So 3 solo ones, this one, something a little different, a litmus test, I don't know if that's the right term, but you know what I mean. Whatever, we'll see what happens. But guys, obviously we are officially in Tim Tszyu Fight Week. Again, a $70 pay-per-view. Will Mr. X be watching? The $100 million question, will he be watching? I can almost guarantee you that he will not be, and he's never heard of any of the fighters, as we know. Maybe he's had some luck going down to a local gym and sparring some amateurs and getting some free tickets. Who knows? But guys, so as per the plan, nothing is actually locked in yet, but I'm on the case, hopefully for an episode next week. I've possibly on the Monday, Tuesday is what I'm aiming for. So I haven't got anyone confirmed yet, but we've got some irons in the fire. So that will definitely be the plan. So yeah, hopefully a proper edition of the show, guys, with a guest literally in a week's time. That is the plan. So obviously we've got tons to talk about. Fundora Thurman was yesterday. Moses Atoma was yesterday. Got the Tim Zoo card coming up. Callum Peters, the Ghost, Sam Goodman on the undercard. So much to talk about. So guys, bit of a weird one this time. Hope you enjoyed it. If not, we will be back to more regular programming on the next episode in about a week or so. So guys, enjoy the fights and I'll chat to you then.
Road less travel may add up the change. Living like there's no tomorrow, then tomorrow came. Going all out. I was living like there's no tomorrow, then tomorrow came. I got the wake up call, laughing through the window frame.